Tim Mclean was born October 3, 1985, to Carol Dedeli and Tim Mclean Sr. in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Growing up, he was an active, adventurous boy who loved soccer, football, and anything that would get him moving and dirty. He was described as loud, boisterous, wild, and outgoing. He was extremely extroverted and loved meeting new people. His mom, Carol, once said that if she brought him to a family gathering where he knew almost no one, he would leave friends with everyone and know all about them and their life. And this stayed the case as he grew. His younger brother Kendall remembered that he didn't like to hold a job and usually got bored of it once he made all the friends he could, which is why he fell in love with the carnival. It was nomadic and had a constant stream of faces. It was voiced that Tim was a personification of the carnival. A carnival barker was the perfect fit for this rambunctious 22-year-old. Tim's taste in music was just as bold and lively as he was. He was an avid fan of Insane Clown Posse, and there are many pictures of him in Juggalo face paint. His friends knew him as Joka Wild, and he remains remembered in the Juggalo fan base. It was at noon on July 30, 2008, that Tim Mclean boarded Greyhound bus 1170, headed from Edmonton to Winnipeg. He had finished working a carnival in Edmonton and was heading home. It was at 6:55 that Vince Lee boarded the same bus after it stopped in Erickson, Manitoba. Initially, Lee sat in the front of the bus, but following a scheduled rest stop, got up, walked down the aisle, and sat down next to Tim Mclean, who is reported to have given Lee a friendly wave and hello. The bus continued on its way, and Tim soon fell asleep with his headphones in and his head rested against the window. This is when the unthinkable happened. Lee produced a large knife and methodically began stabbing Tim in the neck. It was noted that there was no emotion in him, no rage, no passion, just concentrating on the task at hand, like a robot. Immediately there were cries to stop the bus, someone is being stabbed. So on the Trans-Canada Highway, 30 kilometers west of Portage la Prairie, bus 1170 pulled to the side of the road and everyone pushed and shoved their way out, while Lee ignored them all and continued to savagely attack Tim Mclean. It was remembered later the screams of Tim as the rest of the passengers fought for safety. It was a hopeless situation. After the bus was vacated, the driver and two men went back to try and save Tim, but couldn't get past the door as Lee stood there and slashed at them with the knife. Vince Lee proceeded to decapitate Tim and parade up and down the aisle, holding the severed bloody head aloft for everyone to see. When he finally set it down, he left it on the dashboard, displayed grotesquely as perhaps a warning in a statement. He proceeded to dismember Tim's corpse and left various body parts laying around the bus, some in plastic bags. There were some parts that were never retrieved, though. Vince Lee had eaten both of Tim's eyes and a third of his heart. At this point, Lee had been in the bus, alternately dismembering and cannibalizing the body of Tim and pacing the aisle for 5 whole hours. It is unknown why the police did not try to enter the bus and stop the defacement of Tim's body, but it wasn't until July 31st, 1:30 a.m., that Lee was arrested. After an attempt to drive the bus away, failure as a result of the driver putting the emergency brake on, Lee broke a window and attempted to escape. Upon doing so, he was tased twice, handcuffed, and put in the back of a police cruiser. From his pockets were retrieved Mclean's ears, nose, and tongue. But why and how did this happen? The answer lies in Vince Lee's undiagnosed and untreated schizophrenia. Sitting next to Tim Mclean on bus 1170, he believed he was hearing the voice of God, saying that he needed to kill the demon sitting next to him or he himself would be killed. Lee's trial commenced March 3, 2009, where he pleaded not criminally responsible, which means that he accepted the offense occurred, but could not be held accountable. The presiding judge, John Scurfield, accepted the diagnosis and ruled that Lee was not criminally responsible for the killing of Tim Mclean, and he was remanded to the Selkirk Mental Health Center. Lee spent 7 years in Selkirk, and on May 30, 2011, CBC reported that Lee was responding well to psychiatric treatment and recommended that he should receive more freedoms. In February of 2017, Lee received an absolute discharge. He is now living independently, just like you or me. He changed his name to Will Baker and has no criminal record. Many saw this as a failure of the justice system. Tim Mclean's family were left mourning a son, brother, uncle, and nephew, with no closure or justice, and Lee, now Will Baker, was given a completely fresh start. And Tim's family weren't the only ones left deeply scarred by this event. Fellow passengers who had to stand outside the bus on the side of the road that night and hear the screams of Tim and watch Lee deface his body will be forever haunted by those memories. 6 years after this happened, first responder Ken Barker committed suicide. He was the first person on the bus after Lee had been arrested and was so heavily traumatized that he could not live with the PTSD. Tim will always be remembered as an intelligent, fun-loving, exuberant young man by his many, many friends and loving family.